Black Girl at Leisure, and today I'm here to share a bit about my Duolingo journey. I just finished about my 115th day streak learning Portuguese, so I figured what better time than now to do a review on how I like the Duolingo app, how I feel learning Portuguese has been going, and just answer any questions that anyone may have about using the app in terms of how much I'm actually learning, recalling, and how much I'm actually understanding the language. So if you're new here, I share a lot about what I do for fun, for leisure time. A lot of times people ask me questions about what they can start doing for leisure, especially women. I'm in my 30s. A lot of women ask me what they should start doing as for hobbies in their leisure time. And for me, I do a lot of things for fun, and learning languages is really fun for me. So I was like, why not just share about how my journey has been going, answer any questions, and maybe inspire someone to get into language learning as well. I've actually been using the Duolingo app on and off probably since it came out. I also have been learning Spanish on there, and I stopped learning Spanish a while ago. I had a trip to Spain that I did not too long ago, well, about 3 years ago now, for my mentor's wedding. And I was learning, brushing up on my Spanish using Duolingo. So a little background about me and Spanish is that I took Spanish all throughout my high school years, and then when I went to college I learned it a bit more because I wanted to be able to use it in my career. So when it comes to Spanish, I wouldn't say that I'm fluent, but I definitely understand a lot of the words. Since I can have a low I don't know how to explain it. I can have a conversation, but I may not be able to use really big words, but I can have a bit of a conversation and kind of handle myself in Spanish. A lot of times whenever I do pull out my Spanish, people think that it's so funny because I literally have no Spanish background in my heritage. It helps me to be able to bond with people who do speak the language, and if I'm going to someone's business, or even when I used to have clients who spoke Spanish, it really helps me to bond with them because they were always so shocked that I know a little bit of Spanish. So that's my background with the Spanish language. This year in 2025, I decided that I wanted to learn Portuguese because I want to eventually be able to go on a trip to Portugal. For me, with language, whenever I go to a new country, I like to learn a couple words in whatever language is. And the couple of words that I always like to know is hi, bye, my name is, please, thank you, and sorry. So I always start with those kind of words in different languages whenever I go to a new country, because I feel those are the most polite words that you can learn. And I do like to know just a little bit more so that I could, just recognize some words that people are saying. So this year I decided to try and learn Portuguese. I do have a little bit of background with French. French is a language that I learned in high school, and again, I'm not fluent in it, and I think even in French I am probably even less fluent in French than I am in Spanish. But what I do like about knowing a little bit of both languages, and also now Portuguese, is that there's a lot of similar words. And the way words, more specifically verbs, are grouped together in those languages are very similar. So it has made learning Portuguese a little easier, but I will say Portuguese is a lot more different than French and Spanish. So French and Spanish, I really can't explain it. They do have similar ways of grouping words. However, I feel there are more words used to say certain statements in Portuguese than it is in those other languages, if that makes sense. That's something that I picked up on the more that I was practicing Portuguese. Now, yesterday I finished a unit in Portuguese on Duolingo, and the app told me that I reached a level 11 on this, I want to say it was the CERF I'm not really sure what that is, but I feel like it's like some kind of standardization when it comes to languages, and like helping people who are learning new languages kind of just to see where they fall like in learning. So I'm guessing, you know, it's probably like something like, you know, toddler, if I'm just like comparing it to anything else that I know, like probably the words that toddlers know, and the words that maybe a 5-year-old knows, and the words that maybe elementary school kids know. So I'm guessing it's something like that, but I'll do a little bit more research on that. So far, how have I been liking it? I've been liking that I get reminders to practice the language every day. Now, in terms of like recall, I do not feel like I'm really good at recalling, but I do feel like whenever I practice, I'm getting like a good practice. And also because I recognize some words, like some of the words may not look alike the way they're spelled, and some of them may have similarities, but they will sound alike as other like languages. So like Spanish and for me, in French. I don't think my recall is that good. And then again, I've only been practicing for 3 months, since February. We're in June now. Yeah, about 3 months. So I haven't been practicing for that long. And what I do hope to do is like continue practicing. I just ended up buying like the yearly subscription. So before this, I was only using it for that like one lesson. So I'm gonna show you how the lessons look and how everything is mapped out. I downloaded the app on my iPad because I'm using my phone to record right now. And I scrolled through. Seems like the mobile app and the iPad app are pretty similar. So this is how it looks, and you basically can see all of the units that you finish, and all of the units are grouped in a certain way. So it'll be like sports and activities. I'm up to hobbies right now, which is so funny because I'm talking about this as one of my hobbies. Past and present tense, which was like the first unit that we learned, well, that I learned. Recently bought the Duolingo subscription, like I said, so I'm hoping to get more out of it. And so something that's new for me in having the Duolingo subscription is the ability to actually practice calling people and like having conversation. So you can call, and when you call, it doesn't cost anything because I have the Super Duolingo. Free plus 25 experience points. I think it costs, I'll gain 25 experience points if I do well on that unit, if I pass that part of the unit. I think that's what that means. But I just bought the max subscription that lasts for a year. So you pay like a lump sum, and then that lasts for a year. And so a year from now, it'll renew if I don't change the subscription. So that's something that is new, and I kind of want to go back and do some of the phone calls and practice my speaking skills. Another thing that I do sometimes when I'm doing Duolingo is even when so the lessons are broken down like this. And I'm gonna try to put some screenshots or maybe like a screen recording so that you can see. Let me just scoot over and make some room so that you can see what the mobile app looks like. And like I said, it looks really similar to the iPad app, but something that I've kind of started to do when I open up a lesson is saying each word that I learn, even if it's not a verbal lesson. So in the app, there are tons of different kinds of lessons. And so some of the lessons will be set up to where you may have to do matching and just like selecting on the screen, or you may have to say a phrase and listen to a phrase and then say it. You may also have to plug in words that are missing. You may also have to select the correct words to make a sentence. So you'll listen to a phrase and then you'll choose the correct words in Portuguese to make that sentence. And I think those are pretty much all of the ways that we've been practicing so far. And then this one is kind of like a matching like sight words kind of thing. So I'm gonna do a lesson here and kind of let you all hear how my process goes so that I can like try to get the most out of it. So, escola, and that means I'm gonna guess school because it sounds like the word escuela in Spanish, which means school. And there's 3 choices here. I don't know if you can see, but the choices are school, history, or father. And I guess it's a lot of like context at first, like using your context clues. So I'm guessing school, and then I'm gonna press check, and that was correct. The next word, historia, and it looks like the word history in English, and it sounds like, I can't remember the word for history in Spanish, but I feel like it's actually historia as well. So I'm gonna say that the word is history. The choices are history, school, and the word Japan. The country Japan. So I'm gonna choose history, and that was correct. Each lesson has about 17 questions at this point. I feel like when I first started, there were only like 10 questions, but I feel like it's up to about 17 questions, so I'll count. Select the correct translation. So now they're telling me the word in English. So a lot of the times, I don't know if you can see that, but a lot of times they'll teach you the same things, but they will reformulate it. So like they taught us the word for history by showing us the word historia, which is history in Portuguese, and now they're showing us the word for history, the word historia in English, which is history, and we can choose from here. Okay, what is the word in Portuguese? They have the word avô, which is grandfather. They have the word frecuentemente, which is frequently, and it's also, fun fact, also frequently in Spanish, the same word. And historia, so you can select that, and that was correct. Okay, so now we're getting into how to use the word in a sentence. So the phrase is historia y francés, and so what I do know is historia right now is history. Is Francis is France, so I will say history. And is E, and I'll say history and French. So those are classes, I'm guessing. And is it correct? It's correct. So again, we get a new word, professor, and that word looks like professor in English. Professor also looks like the word, I think that's also the same word in Spanish for professor. It might be, yeah, for the same word in Spanish, professor. So you can kind of put your context clues together. We know what history means in Portuguese. It's historia, so that's not history. Teacher, a professor is also a teacher, and we know, I mean, sandwich doesn't really sound like it'll be the right answer. So I'm gonna choose teacher. And that was correct. Basically, this is pretty much how the lessons are set up. It's pretty much like using your context clues. If you have, depending on what language you're learning, if you have knowledge of other similar languages, you can kind of like pick up on things. But for the most part, in terms of me using sentences, like learning sentences that I would use in real life, I'm not really sure that I'm there yet. And it just maybe that I haven't gotten to like really customized language, like things about myself. Whereas like if I was in a language course, I would probably get more practice on writing things about myself or creating like sentences and things about myself. So that is my short review of the app. I feel like it's really what you make of it, because if you like pick it up and use it in your downtime and it's kind of like one more thing that you have to do and you're really not taking it in, which is kind of similar to how I've been using it, you may not be able to recall as much. But I feel like if you sit down and like really look at what you're learning and practice saying everything, because I'm a person who feels like, you know, once I say something that helps to commit to my brain better than actually just reading. So if you sit down and read and do the pronunciations, I feel like this would be something that could be worth it for you. If you want to watch me become fluent in Portuguese, I'm going to try to do weekly updates about my language learning and just let you all know what I'm up to in the units that I'm in. Thanks so much for watching. Follow me if you want to see my journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.